everything's gonna be all right. As long as you stay tuned to Just Chillin' with Lynn Collins.
Stone Cold Steve Austin here with a short message for the kids in Cleveland. I ain't one of the pack. I do my own thing in the World Wrestling Federation. I don't give a rat's what anyone thinks as I stand on my own. Be like Stone Cold. Be your own man. You don't need drugs to make you strong. You just need yourself. So stay strong, be yourself, and say no to drugs. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Let the rhythm hit 'em.
Good evening. Welcome to Just Chillin', City of Cleveland Health Education Program, dedicated to issues relevant to today's teens. I'm also your host, and tonight we're talking about violence prevention. We'll take your phone-in calls after the interview. The number at the station is 368-2207. That's 368-2207.
Man, this is the 90s, boy. Things ain't like they used to be. We gotta get down. And if you want to get naughty, y'all got to know y'all got to protect yourself at any cost. Just being promiscuous and being out there is not safe for this decade. Please strap up. Jimmy hats and all the other slang you got out there. We got to protect our youth, our children. Got to grow up the right way and really know that we got to be safe out there.
Definitely. You got to protect their futures. So this is Tretch and Vin Rock from Naughty by Nature. If you want more information, check the number at the bottom of your screen.
And safe sex is the only way to have sex in the 90s, word up. Or we can do it again.
And I'm Jim Joyner, known also as your urban navigator, who sometimes guest hosts the program. And I'm here also with the king of media, LC, and with our guests.
Okay, at this time, Mike, can you introduce yourself to Cleveland?
Hi, I'm Mike Walker. I'm the director of the Partnership for a Safer Cleveland. And I've been working in the area of youth prevention for a number of years, particularly violence prevention.
Okay, Partnership for a Safer Cleveland, what exactly is that?
Well, actually, it's just an effort by everyday citizens. It was started by attorneys almost 20 years ago to deal with violence in Cleveland. In 1981, Cleveland was the 5th most dangerous city in the United States. And over time, there's been an effort to try to prevent it. And it's not just policing and laws, it's actually how we relate with each other. And that's been one of the main focuses of the organization.
Okay, what we're going to do tonight, Jim and myself, we're in the prevention and treatment fields, and you're in violence. And we just want to sit around and talk to Cleveland today about violence prevention. So I guess it's
well, one of the first places I think we should start, so we're all on the same page. Can we agree on or come up with a definition of violence? And that's a serious question. I mean, we use the word a lot, but what does it really mean?
Well, first of all, let me say this. That is a contention around that. We're talking about unintentional. There's unintentional violence and intentional violence. We tend to focus a lot on the intentional side. That is when I harm you, both physically and mentally. And let's be very clear on that. I don't have to physically hurt you to be violent. A lot of people have kind of gone towards, I've got to do something physically with you, impede or hit you, or slap you, or shoot you, stab you. But violence in itself is universal. It can be unintentional, meaning I pushed someone but accidentally fell down the steps, or intentional is that I wanted to push you, I wanted to hurt you, and I wanted to knock you down the steps. Clearly, the focus today for most people is on that intentional injury as a result of an individual out of anger, frustration, self-defense who inflicts personal injury. So it's really that kind, because a lot of people focus on it. Now, I have a concern, and in your fields, I think you understand this. Suicide is a violent act.
Correct.
Okay? Most of us, though, would not consider that as part of the current wave of concern about violence prevention. For me, I want to prevent suicide and, as well, unintentional intentional violence. For the caveat of this conversation, for this discussion, for most people, you know what, they really don't care about that other than the fact that if I feel that I'm hurt or injured or impeded, that's a violent thing to do.
Mike, when we look at violence, and you make me think of this reality, most people aren't concerned with violence up to the point that it doesn't involve them. As long as it stays across the street or across town or in that neighborhood, it's okay. But even before violence, is it safe to say that violence also could be symptomatic of something before that?
Oh, wow. This is, well, first of all, this. Okay. Look, first of all, culture. I mean, the way we do things can lead to what we, have you ever heard of this? There's a peaceful culture and a violent culture. It's a consideration that I want to have something. There's a possessive nature of a culture that says, me first, survival of the fittest. And you know what? That has a role to play. And I guess to try to make it easy for the audience, do you think there's some, and this is a concept, zero sum. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. Zero sum is that if we do everything equally, if we are given equal shots, okay, do we have equal opportunity? What if I said to you, I don't buy that. I'm better than Jim, period. Not even from a violence perspective, but food, shelter, opportunity. We call it oppression. Sometimes we call it controlling, selective hierarchy. Jim, I think that we in America happen to live in a society that has put violence in a whole different context. See, there are places where people live in this world where they don't have anywhere near the level of violence.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, but yet, if you put them on the scale of economic opportunity, okay, the style of living, people would say, that's third world. I wouldn't want to live in a place like that. So I guess I would say to you that there is something larger than just our individual influences, that there are some environmental influences that impact this hostile relationship we have with our environment.
Well, let me say this. What about young people out there? How can we make it real for them? How can they feel that violence isn't right?
Look, first of all, right is how we feel about ourselves. I mean, social isolation. You know, before we even get to the notion of violence, what's right should be the context. The right is to feel that you have the ability and freedom to do whatever you want to do within reason. A lot of people would say, I can't do that right now. I mean, I can't possibly do what I want to do. So we have set up rules. In a violent world, I think what young people are looking at is, I don't have the same opportunity. See, you don't understand. I go to a school that's different than your school. I live in a neighborhood that you don't want to live in. I don't even see that being a jest. And so so anger, difference, I think to young people don't look at it the way we do. I mean, I really believe that they see our opportunities limited.
Let me say this, though. My mom used to tell us that when she grew up, they walked to school barefoot with no shoes.
In snow, 2 feet deep.
Right. And they didn't know they were poor until someone told them they were poor. So I guess what I'm trying to say, a lot of our young people are in environments that they don't particularly see as being all that violent. Am I wrong or am I right?
No. If you think about how you describe what you just did,
okay,
you described one world that was peaceful, tranquil, and equal, and a world where we've already segregated. Listen to what you said. Barefoot, they didn't think they were poor.
okay.
Walking to school. Man, I got kids say, look, someone gonna pick me up. Okay? I'm not walking barefoot to school. All I'm saying is that there have been other influences that say or demonstrate. So let's not even go to the violent part. Because I think when we say intentional harm, there are conditions that permeate that there is someone better than I.
Such as?
Such as the guy who got the Nikes and the guy that don't. The guy who got the air-conditioned school, the guy that don't. I mean, the guy that's got the nice green. So part of this, before we even get to, I'm going to intentionally take something from you or hurt you, we have a different culture. The culture is, by the way, were there hungry people in the past? There was a belief that people fed everybody. I mean,
no, there were hungry people.
Exactly.
And see, I think it's a misnomer to say that before it was like there was no homicide, there was no spousal abuse, there was no child neglect, infanticide. Those things happen. One of the big differences today is we have TV. We have this medium that brings things as it happens right now. And we can go back to the most recent tragedies, which is the Columbine High School incident. That was national news. That was worldwide news. So today, what happens becomes immediately accessible in terms of information. And I think sometimes that skews the reality when we look at and compare. that it didn't happen then. Well, then it was 2 or 3 days old, or it was old news, or the tape had to get to the station before, so there was hours in between. So today there's that immediate gratification that happens. The other thing I want to say, and you mentioned, Mike, about kids, and one of the things I guess I want to make the point with for our young people, and I say this as it relates to substance abuse, and to me it pertains to violence. I don't think our kids are the problem. I think our kids do because our kids are raised in a society that dictates and navigates them and maybe only gives certain kids certain choices. I think that one of the things that it's important for everybody to understand, that you're absolutely right, we're equal in a sense, okay? In God's eyes, I'm going to say that. But I think it's healthy for me to recognize that you and I, though, are different. That Mike Walker can do some things better than I can do, and I can do some things better than you can do. But all that is recognition of difference, like we talk about cultural difference, which if I don't use it to subordinate you or you use it to subordinate me, there's no reason to want to do away with you or to put you down. I think it's healthy for everybody to recognize we're different. We maybe see things different. I like blue, you like yellow. But man, when that comes together, look at that rainbow that we can create.
But let me say this, because I see a lot of guys, and I'm just go there real quick, in sports, when we talk about differences. There are kids who may be undersized in the 4th grade or 5th grade, but they're not given opportunities because they don't have the same skills as somebody who may be a little more talented at that time in their life. So those kids are driven away from certain things. A kid who never picked up a piano can't, I mean, he'll go in there one day and hit the keys, and they say, well, this kid has no talent. But he hasn't really tried. So I think opportunity has to also include chance to participate.
But let's try to put it all together. Because first of all, I think, we're all related but different. That's a great line. Because we all, the three of us are related. We have different views, different opportunities, different skills. The other thing is we matured at different rates. One of the things I guess young people need to understand is this. We mature. Puberty occurs at different points for different youngsters.
What's puberty, Mike?
Well, I mean,
for the young people out there.
Well, let's go into manhood and womanhood.
Okay.
Let's talk about development. I want people to try to understand this. A 12-year-old girl who develops, physically, is still 12. But in the eyes of 17, 18-year-olds may be more attractive. That young girl is at more risk because older guys want to hang out with her, are attracted to her, according to their peers. Now let's take a young man, say a 12-year-old boy who develops muscles earlier is going to excel in sports. Going to be a little bit more developed, may not be more mature, but physical development. So sometimes those things lead to people saying, well, that's a job, that's a beautiful girl. They still 12-year-olds. They still haven't developed mentally. But the physical presence has changed. And what I think happens is that right off the bat, people are saying, I am different. I mean, I'm better. This guy's getting she's getting a lot of attention compared to other 12-year-olds. And that's part of a difference that occurs. That's not a matter of chance, a matter of luck. Now, that's one piece. And I think that's something we talked about. And I think, Jim, you're absolutely right. First of all, violence is not new. It's been around. I am concerned about the rate and the age of those that are violent. But I also believe that there are some cultural things that kind of a mixed match to the view. Give an example. There are khaki pants. People sell khaki pants to everybody. There's a company, I don't have to tell you who it is because I know you know what it is. They play a commercial, not once with any words about the product. They do it in country, they do it in soul, they do it in hip hop. Guess what? It's a universal message because they segment the population and say one thing. We all wear khakis. I don't care if you're in the country or blues. Now, all I want to say is that message also permeates about what our opportunity should be. While we are uniquely different, there is an overlying message that, oh no, you should have the same thing as my brother here, the same as Jim. Bottom line, don't let them do you, man. And I mean, that's not just cultural in terms of urban. I think that's universal in our culture. So that's part of a unique American problem.